Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy and we're gonna do a swipe today, a negative space swipe, and we're gonna do that using some new colors. So if you didn't catch my Summer Sequence video where I showed you the new set, I will try to remember to link it below, but we're gonna use 3 colors from the new set, and we're gonna use some Prizm pour colors that are not out yet. So we're just playing around with them. So I'm going to show you the colors. And get my stool a little closer so I can make sure the autofocus doesn't act up. My dog is over here upside down looking crazy. So the 3 colors from the Summer Sequence we're going to use are Chombard, which is one of my favorites from that set. Hot Tamale. Beautiful. Marmalade. Also beautiful. And we're going to use a little bit of Manna Blue Boom Gel to add a contrasting color, and I'm going to use a blue-black cell activator, so I figured it would kind of pull those 2 things together and make sense of the blue. This is a Prizm pour color that is not yet released called Marooned, and it is a gorgeous color from Colourarte. I don't know the name of this one yet because this is just a little sample, but I love this one a lot. This is also a Prizm pour. So if you're not familiar, Prizm pour is acrylic paint from Primary Elements. It's called super metallic because it has tons of sparkle in it, but instead of you having to mix it up yourself like you would a pigment and make your own paint, it's already mixed up for you. So let's pour our pillow down and we'll get started. Typically, because Primary Elements are semi-transparent or translucent, sorry, I have a frog in my throat. You want to put some, in most cases, regular acrylic paint in your layers. Usually as your bottom layer is a really good place to start, and I usually put it toward the top as well. So today we're using 2 Prizm pour colors, which is, you know, it is a paint, but we're also going to use a Boom Gel toward the bottom, and we will probably drizzle one of those Prizm pour colors toward the top under our cell activator. I do have a mixing video below of how I mix my paints, and I explain the various layers of the bloom recipe so that if you're kind of getting used to taking it, getting used to trying it, let's say you just took the course and you're like overwhelmed, and you're trying to figure everything out and getting all the lingo down, it might help you a little bit. And if you've done blooms for a while and you just like to learn from other people's ingredients that they use and what works for them, it would be a great resource for you. I also have a video that I hope to remember to list below that shows the difference between PolyPour and Vivid Enamel. So if you get the new Summer Sequence set and you get an 8-ounce bottle of each, you're like, which one do I use and why? That will help you. And I have some bubbles here, so bear with me for just a second. That's probably enough. My husband's working, so I don't want to be real obnoxious. I don't know why sometimes this pillow paint has bubbles and sometimes it doesn't. I'm using Walmart Color Place Satin today in bright white. And I'm going to try that one more time. Okay, that helped. All right. Sometimes if you have bubbles, don't torch your bubbles if you're using a house paint recipe. You will get a skin on your paint. You can use a skewer or a toothpick, and sometimes you can just give it a good whacking and it pops the bubbles for you. But again, I'm trying to not be super annoying. I guess my husband's working. All right. So we're going to lay down our colors first. I am going to use my Colourarte palette knife, which is a little dirty, for our cell activator application. Excuse me. think I'm having some allergies today. Okay, my pillow paint container has kind of a catch in the lid, and I'm trying to not twist old paint into the container, you know? Not trying to have boogers in my paint. So anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. I didn't get a chance to do a video over the weekend, and I normally release one on Sunday. So sorry about that. So hopefully this one will probably come out Wednesday because it's already kind of late on Tuesday. So let's figure out how we're going to lay our paints. Excuse me, Tuff. Thank you, buddy. Good boy. Really down. They like to be right where I am. They're very loyal. Just pull this a little bit to the edge to avoid that weird ring that we get sometimes when we take our time. If you're new to this, sometimes if you leave your pillow paint on the surface too long while you're painting, a ring will form and it shows through resin. I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but if you can avoid it, it helps. So I probably have too much pillow paint. I really have a hard time gauging that. I never want to have too little because I have ruined pieces having to overstretch them. But you also do kind of mess up your composition if you have too much. So just want to remind you, there's discount codes in the description box below. There is 20% off of anything on the Colourarte website. That includes the new set and everything else that's on the website. Using Mandy1120, it's in the description box below, all lowercase. And there's also 15% off of Pixel Paint Designs, where I get my Boom Gel and my Australian Floetrol and all of that using Mandy15. So really great discounts available for you guys. My Amazon storefront link is below. That's still a work in progress. I still need to update all of that. And I also have a Blick link below, so if you want to do any of your art shopping through that link, it helps our channel. And that is my favorite place to buy regular art supplies. Okay, I think I popped some of those bubbles. I know that's super annoying for you guys, sorry, but I'm trying to make sure they're popped. So I'm going to do a little Boom Gel. I'm going to try to squiggle the line down the middle, because I kind of just want it in there for contrast. I love this color blue. It's like an indigo blue, and it's a great way to bring in some contrast if you're using all pinkish reddish. Of course, the Marmalade is also some contrast. So I also love the way Boom Gel, I didn't do a good job of that at all. I also love the way Boom Gel responds to Cell Activator. So I like to throw it in there sometimes. The next color I'm going to put down is Marooned. And I did not do the greatest job swirling that around. So I'm trying to, I don't really feel like I did a great job separating the Manna Crab Blue from other things, but okay. So now we're going to do it's either Chombard or Chombard. Let's say Chombard. I'm going to put it closest to me. I might swirl it a little bit, but I'm going to try to keep it distinct enough where it'll show on its own. It's a gorgeous color. You can tell because I double lined it. Love it. And I think it looks so pretty with this Marmalade. They're just great complementary colors. I'm going to, my mix for this one for some reason is a little bit thinner than the other ones, so I'm going to do a little bit more of a drizzle effect with the hot tamale, because I'm concerned that it's too thin.
Some of it was I was using up old pouring medium mixtures, and some of them were different when I mixed these. So I wanted to, instead of making a brand new batch, I was like, let me use what I already have made versus making something brand new. So, hot tamale. No! You saw that? Right in our negative space. I mean, we might have swiped past it, but didn't really want to take that chance. All right. Now we're gonna do Marmalade. I'm gonna fill in some of these spaces with a little bit of Marmalade, and then I'm gonna put it on this side near the Chombard. I think I'm primarily, this one is also mixed a little bit thin, so I'm primarily gonna squiggle it around. And it's such a beautiful complementary color. It really goes well with everything in the pour. So, all right. Trying to move these out of my way as I go. I have a couple large bubbles who have appeared here. And now I'm going to put this other Prizm pour color. I don't have a name for this one yet, but it's a beautiful like peachy pink. I love it so much. And I'm going to kind of drizzle it across the top because it's a nice light, like kind of contrasting color. I'm afraid to pour it because I'm afraid it's going to be too heavy. So pretty. I love it a lot. And then we're going to swipe with a blue-black cell activator. And this will give me a little color there in the middle. Can you tell I like this color a lot? All right, let me not drown out all the other colors. Just move my colors out of the way real quick, so when we swipe we can get down to it. I'm going to, I hope I have enough blue-black left, because when you swipe and you load your palette knife, you tend to use a little bit more cell activator than when you're doing a bloom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my knife upside down and I'm going to load it on here and then swoosh it. I'm not going to do that right here because I'm very prone to dropping it, and I'm afraid I will. Make sure I have enough to do the other side. Blue-black is one of my favorite cell activators, especially for a swipe. I'm very nervous that I don't have enough to do both sides. So we may end up having to make some more. I hope not. I hope not, I hope not. Okay, here we go. Make sure this thing is not auto-focusing. It's super annoying when it does that. Okay, I'm nervous. Okay. Wipe my palette knife clean, and while that's developing, we'll work on the other side. Okay. This will use up the rest of my cell activator, and then I'll have to make some more. I hope that's enough. Let's spread it around. It's like you want to cover your palette knife evenly, but you don't necessarily like want to puddle the cell activator. If you do too much, it can take over. But if you don't have enough, you can just smear your paint around. So it's kind of a happy medium deal. All right. And I love the little cloudy pillow cells. Those make me happy, so don't mind those one bit. All right, concentration. Okay, so as that develops, I'm gonna make sure I have a clean skewer, and I don't know if you can see this, but where the cell activator and the Floetrol sort of interact with the house paint and form these like little squigglies that work, like it's almost trying to crawl out into the paint. I like to fix those, and the way I fix them is I take the edge of a skewer knife and I just sort of connect them so they all go in a direction. So that's how I personally fix those. Everyone's different. They may not bother you one bit. They bother me. So, because to me they look like almost like paint that's trying to fractal or something, which is fine if that's what you're trying to do, but I'm not trying to do that. My cell activator looks a little thin, and I can tell you why. Normally I have amazing lacing here, but I have more lines than I do cells and lacing. Some of that is also because my paint was a little thin in some places too. So it's kind of a twofold deal. But we still have good cell action, so. And the first swipe I didn't use quite as much cell activator as the second side. So that's why you want to make sure you have enough also. I'm just breaking the surface tension here where there's a lot of blue. Just to give a chance for those cells to come through. While I'm going to let that rest a second, I'm going to pop a couple bubbles. My hand is not very steady. If you pop a bubble and white pillow paint comes through, you can take your skewer or a toothpick and just go straight down and back up. And that's one of the best ways to deal with it, especially like if you don't have the steadiest hand, and I don't. It's like the more still I try to be, the worse it gets. All right. So this is kind of what I mean about dragging something through the paint. Just kind of makes those little, I want to call them little hairs. I know that's not what they are, but just kind of makes them all go in one direction and look like they're there intentionally. You can't see that probably, but I just drug a faint blue line into that negative space, and I didn't mean to do that. So we're going to do the same thing over here. And then over here, and we may need to revisit one area, which is right here. And I kind of like the waviness of those lines. I think they add a lot of character. Now right here looks a little flat for me. I kind of want it to branch out. All right. I don't really think I want to wreck any parts of this. I feel like I have some white spots coming through. So the colors are really beautiful. Okay, just pop in a couple of bubbles, and then we're gonna spin it. Oops. Straight down and back up. The bubbles you really want to concern yourself with are the ones that kind of look like they're gonna pop as it dries. Those are the ones that have the most potential to be somewhat damaging. I'm just adding a little interest right here. This is probably going to spin off, so It may be for naught. Same with right here. I think this part's probably going to spin off. So I'm not going to worry too much about adding something right there. And I just kind of mess that up. Okay. So we have just a little action here, a little something. I don't really like what I did right here. I can't undo it, so it's probably going to be okay. It's probably going to grow and then it will make more sense. I don't really want to mess that up because we have some nice cells there. There are some places where my paint was too thin and it affected the cell structure quite a bit. I usually get tight little cells with the negative space swipes. One of the reasons I like to use the blue-black cell activator is it's thick, and so when you do it on a swipe, you don't lose all your cell structure like you would if your cell activator was too thin. So we're just going to make sure the surface is covered, and then we'll maybe tilt if we need. I definitely notice the difference compared to my normal swipes where the paint is thin. So note to self, thicken up my mix if that happens again. There's one part where my edge doesn't want to cover over here. And I don't want to spin wildly, so I'm going to put a little bit of paint there. Just a little bit. I still think this is really beautiful, but my paint mix being thinner definitely impacted the composition a little bit. Like, I can tell where my cells are trying to warp a little bit, and that doesn't normally happen to me on my swipes anyway. But it's just a consistency lesson, you know? When our paints are too thin, sometimes that happens. Luckily with the swipe, you can get away with, you know, kind of a different cell structure, and it's okay. Okay, just spotted a bubble. I have so many bubbles in my pillow paint today. It's so weird. Some of them are just like pillow cells, but they look strange. And that marooned color is so pretty. I mean, they're all pretty. But I love a wine-ish color, like a purple or purple wine. Seriously love the color. It's beautiful. I'm needing to even out my pillow paint a little bit, so I'm opening up this right side. And give it another good little spin. I have a lot more pillow paint on one side than I do the other. I love the little pillow cells, but man, can I tell a difference between my usual tight little cells. But you know, a lot of people really love the big cells, so everyone is different. I'm just trying to see how much pillow paint I need to move around still. That hot tamale color right next to the blue-black cell activator looks really cool. Okay, I think I finally got my edges covered. So now we're just making sure we have enough paint off. I'm okay with the composition. Not as Cellulicious as usual. The colors are amazing, so I love them. And I love how in different places where there's different color intensity, you can see kind of the vibrancy of the primary elements, and then you can see where it's stretching out a little bit over the white, so you can see like all the dimensions of the color, the deep richness, and what it would look like as maybe like a watercolor type color. I think it's so pretty. Give it one more spin, make sure we have enough paint off. I think we do. One thing I do to see or to check is I kind of wiggle it like this. We definitely have more of the blue right here than on that side, but I think that works. It doesn't have to be like perfectly symmetrical. I found a bubble and I have so much paint on me, so I'm really living on the edge over here. To pop it. Turns out I have too much paint on this thing too. Okay. And the tedious things that we do, right? To get a piece where we want it to be. So what do you guys think? I would love to know your feedback. Colors are gorgeous. What do you think of the composition? Do you notice the difference in the cells and the lacing that I'm noticing? Is it noticeable for you, or are you kind of like, what difference, you know? Because we're always our own worst critic. So I'm curious if you can see that difference that I'm talking about, where the cell activator is thinner and a couple places where the paints are thinner, and the impact that that had on the structure. I'm just trying to clean up this blue part. It's beautiful, but there's some parts of it there that are kind of too wispy and almost kind of messy. So I just put a couple lines in there. Everything else I think I like. So let me clean my hands and bring you down for a close-up. Curious what y'all think in the comments. I love the colors, especially love that they all work so beautifully together. I definitely appreciate my thicker cell activator for a swipe. I also appreciate the thicker paint mix to hold up the cell structure. That just goes to show you why consistency is so important in the bloom recipe. If your paints are too thin, you lose some of your structure. If they're too thick, you may not be able to stretch out your design very well. Like your design won't move. So all of those things are important. That's why it's always like a brand new little chemistry lesson every time we paint. So let me clean my hands, I'll bring you guys down. All right, everybody, so here's our close-up. So starting over here, we get the tight little pillow cells we normally get, which I like. You can see we don't have as much cells and lacing, again, because of some places where my paint was thinner and so was my cell activator. So that's not normal for me, but the colors are really beautiful. Really, really love how well they work together. They play really nicely even with the blue. Over here is where I feel like the cell structure is a little bit more noticeable. As we spun and tilted, we lost some of the nice tight lacing here. We still have some pillow cells here, but we also have some kind of coloration where the cell activator went over the pillow paint. Here we have the beautiful colors again, looking so gorgeous together. So composition wise, this isn't my favorite. I love the colors together. I think it's beautiful. I think I'm just used to a certain level of performance from my cell activator, and having it a little bit too thin, along with a couple of my colors too thin, definitely impacted this a little bit. but I still love it. I still think it's beautiful. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I always love y'all's feedback. Again, don't forget about the coupon codes, the discounts below. Our Fluid Art Friends Facebook group link is also listed below. And so, as always, appreciate everyone's support and feedback. Thank you again for watching. And if you're new, please like and subscribe. I'd love to have you join. Take care, everyone. Bye.